Welcome to the Guitar Department. I'm your host, Joe Walton. On this episode, Meadowbrook Circle is here. The father-son combo, Sean M. Sullivan, Sean T. Sullivan, two generations. It's going to be a great show. Lots of cool stuff to talk about. Welcome to the Guitar Department. And we're back, and I'm sitting here with Sean and Sean from Meadowbrook Circle. Sean's, how are you?
Nice to see you.
Doing good.
Good. Well, you guys have a new project, Meadowbrook Circle, but we want to start a little bit earlier here. You guys, as they might have guessed, are father and son.
Yeah, absolutely. My dad and I have been playing music together for a long time throughout the years, and just recently I moved back to Iowa from Florida and have been playing solo for a while, but over the last 3 months we've been practicing together and decided to put together a little project called Meadowbrook Circle, like you said, and now kind of are formally playing together as a band.
Awesome. Now, if you don't mind me telling them, you originally hit me up, you'd seen my show and sort of heard about it and messaged me, and your intent at the time was to draw some attention to your dad and his long career. And now here we are. We do have a project with the two of you, but I want to get to you, sir. Would you tell me a little bit about your career, where you've come from, what you've been through, how you ended up here?
Sure. Started playing the mandolin when I was a junior in high school, and my mom and dad got me a couple of tater bugs, the old tater bug mandolin.
Okay. Got
them at a farm sale, and that kind of got me started. Started playing some English and Irish folk music, and then met some bluegrassers. And my mom loaned me $600 to buy an F5 flatback Gibson.
Oh, wow.
Beautiful, beautiful instrument. So that kind of got me started. And then in college, I was in the High Plainsmen up in Ames, Iowa, and then moved to...
What year was that, if you don't mind?
That would have been back in '76, the bicentennial year, for several years.
Sure.
And then got into, in Waterloo, had a band up there called Sawbuck, and that was during the urban cowboy thing, you know. So, but it really comes down to cosmic American music from Graham Parsons. That's the big influence in my life. And that's probably the biggest influence in Sully's life as well, because that kind of Americana is where we come from, is alt country.
Yeah, absolutely. And you guys fit the bill too, having listened to a few of the samples from your shows. And you guys have only had a few shows at this point, right, together?
Yeah, we played our first show on April 10th, and since then we've had a few other gigs, but you know, our first show was really, to speak about Graham Parsons, we played in my dad's back garage, which he calls the Gilded Palace.
Yes, the Gilded Palace.
And that gave me kind of an opportunity to play my first gig of all original music. And so I had never done that before. I moved back to Iowa from Florida in 2021 and have been playing solo out at gigs since then, but you know, usually I'm playing covers. You know, my dad has musicians out to play these shows at the Gilded Palace, and when we had the opportunity to play the original music, it really kind of reinvigorated those original songs. And I was like, let's do this more than just once, you know, instead of just once on April 10th, let's put together a band and see where it goes.
And speaking of putting together the band, you guys have a bass player, and then on banjo you have our friend Paul Perkins, who was on our Christmas show and I've known for years. Tell me about how that all came together. I know Paul plays in your other band, Black Dirt Ramblers. Sure. Is that correct?
Yeah, and you know, for the last 3 years while I've been playing solo, anytime I've released a single or released my album in 2024, I've always had my dad playing mandolin or mandola, but then I've had Joe Muller play bass, and I've had Paul Perkins play banjo. And you know, for somebody like me who's a rhythm guitar player, you know, a decent songwriter, can sing a little bit, but having these musicians to be able to drive these new melodies and take these songs to places where I never expected them to go has been so fulfilling, and I'm very, very lucky. So when we played that gig on April 10th, I was like, sorry guys, we got to do this more, because you know, it just sounds too good and it's too much fun to be playing these original tunes with such great musicians.
You got the itch, man.
Absolutely.
This scene will do that to you for sure. So you've touched on a couple of things there. I want to get to your songwriting and some of the motivation behind that and the evolution of it, but I want to talk about the mandola first. Yep. You've got a beautiful instrument sitting in front of you there, Sean.
Yeah, this is a Steve Hind original. Steve Hind makes very elite instruments. He's from Northeast Iowa. Hind.com, stevehind.com.
Go ahead and hold that up if you could.
Absolutely gorgeous instruments, and of course they're pretty expensive. Master luthier. Anytime I need something repaired, he always makes a special exception and helps me out. But the mandola itself is tuned in C instead of Irish tuning in G for a violin. This is tuned like a viola or a cello, and it's tuned in C. So it's just got a haunting, deeper, richer sound. And the beauty of this instrument, because what our goals are, and my goals are, of course, is instrumental and vocal harmony. And that's where we're trying to go with this thing. Sully, since he was 12 years old, now in his mid-30s, it's unbelievable to watch that evolutionary process of his songwriting. Now the ability to bring in a Paul, and then Joe's on bass, and then I'm able to bring this rich instrument out. The instrumental harmonies are absolutely fantastic. So it's kind of what drives you.
That's great, having your family and some of the best musicians the town has to offer working on your own music.
Absolutely.
What can you tell me about your songwriting? We sort of touched on this off camera, but can you tell me how you started writing songs and where that's brought you today?
Yeah, I can vividly remember writing my first song when I was about 12 or 13 years old, and I was recording it on my dad's hi-8 tape deck, and the ability to come up with a song in your head, write it down, record it, and listen back to it has always been a magical thing for me. I don't ever believe that it's ever going to happen again. It's always like, oh, that's just going to happen once. It's this magical thing, but it continues to happen. Songwriting for me has been different throughout my life. I recently celebrated 5 years of sobriety, and
congratulations.
Yeah, thank you so much. And I can tell you that it's been a completely different musical experience now being 5 years sober, specifically for my songwriting. And I think you can kind of look at a delineation of prior to sobriety. Music was always associated with alcohol in some way, whether you're playing gigs or writing or whatever it was. And the songs were okay. I think they were catchy, they were melodic, but they didn't really have a lot of meaning. And not every song needs to have true meaning, but for me personally, over the last 5 years through sobriety, I've really been able to utilize songwriting kind of as a way to cope with going through sobriety, mental health, different times in my life, what I've struggled with. And so even the last album that I just put out is basically all about my struggles with mental health. And it took me 2 years getting sober before I was properly diagnosed with what mental health issues that I was dealing with. So it's just an absolutely a blessing for that to happen. But it's been so fulfilling to be in a mindset where I can write and reflect and utilize that songwriting, like I said, to cope with different parts of my life, and it's incredibly more fulfilling.
Excellent. Do you feel like, as you mentioned that the songs have more depth, have a little bit more lyrical content, do you feel like you enjoy listening to them more on that personal level? Yeah,
no, absolutely. I think I wrote a song recently, or not recently, but a few years ago, called "Does This Music Make You Proud?" And I think any artist looking back on their careers of music, you always are very critical, right, of your early stuff. I actually took down quite a bit of my old music from earlier years, and I shouldn't have done that, but it is what it is. But the song "Does This Music Make You Proud" really makes you evaluate and look back at, were you really proud of all those songs? Was it, and for me now, more recently, being able to listen to my newer songs and the new releases, I am more proud. I am much more fulfilled listening to them. They reflect my life. And the other very beneficial part, I think, is that it helps other people. I did a podcast recently about my mental health and developing Torn Falls and Thunder, the album I released in 2024. And, having somebody come up to you and be like, hey, that podcast or that song or that album really impacted me. It's an incredible feeling. And even at our gig on the 10th, I had somebody come up and they said, hey, this song you played hit me deep. And having an impact on one person is really all that I need in my music career. It really makes you fulfilled.
Yeah, it really does send the message home, doesn't it? When somebody actually hears the meaning of the song and it affects them in the right way.
Absolutely.
That's incredibly rewarding. Well, congratulations on that.
Thank you.
And you mentioned just sort of casually there that you dropped a solo album last year. What can you tell me about that?
I went on a trip to Southwest Missouri the previous fall, and I'm a Civil War enthusiast. I'm by no means a buff or
Do you do the reenactments?
No, I don't do the reenactments. I do travel and drive and see different battlefields. And I lived in Pensacola, Florida for 11 years, and they had an incredible amount of Civil War history that you could drive within 30 minutes to an hour and see. Southern Missouri obviously has a lot of history as well, and so I did a road trip down there, brought my guitar with me, and started writing. And what I found was that not only was I writing nonfiction songs about the Civil War, but I was also figuring out that this was an opportunity where I could utilize this time to write about my mental health. And so that was incredibly rewarding because I was writing, I was off work for a solid week. I was driving from place to place, writing and recording little tidbits here and there. But then, you get home, I immediately dove into the recording process, and I've always recorded my own work, whether it's through GarageBand early on a MacBook or now with Adobe Audition. I dove right into recording, and then stupidly I decided to mix it myself. And what really I'm not a professional mixer. You can learn a lot on YouTube, obviously, and now, especially with technology and how it's advanced, I mean, you can make it sound pretty good without, having a degree and being an audio engineer. But the problem with that is that it took away so much of the creativity, and with fatigue and getting into it. Paul Perkins came on and recorded banjo on it. We didn't get Joe bass, dad, vocals, and mandolin on there. But what's beautiful now is that all of those songs off that album we now play out live. And so we have dad, like he was talking about, these incredible melodies and harmonies, both vocally and instrumentally. We're able to play the songs off that album. I don't even like listening to the album anymore now just because it's so raw, right? Whereas now the songs, when we go out and play, are like this full 4-piece band that really drives those originals. But it's a very special album to me, and not only that I, because mixing it and writing it and everything, but just for what it represented from personally and what the songs were about. And so,
now that you have those songs integrated into Meadowbrook Circle, I know you guys are starting to work on an album yourselves. Are you going to re-record some of them with the quartet?
Everything's on the table, and that's one thing my dad has always told me is to keep things on the table, keep ideas out there. It definitely, what's fun is that when we record, a lot of our gigs we'll play with my dad's board, and we can record straight to the SD card. And what's been so much fun is to be able to edit and listen back to those songs. So to hear them in a true studio mix, to have those instruments and vocals to support those songs, I would love to. But having said that, it's also fun that we have 4 brand new songs. Right. They're songs that have never been recorded. One of them we'll play today. It'll be a debut, a TV debut. But we're excited to continue to write and evolve. And while I could definitely see us re-recording. It's also pretty exciting and fun to just say, hey, we've got 4 brand new songs where, technically the songs that we had prior were more or less Sean M. Sullivan songs, and now it's like, hey, this is Meadowbrook Circle. These are our songs, and that's been something super fun for me because you play solo for so long that when we wanted to start this band, it was like, do you call it Sean Sullivan and the X, or the Sean Sullivan Band, or do we play off our name somehow? And we kind of came to the like, hey, let's just brand this something vague. We're going to be Meadowbrook Circle, and it's a band where it's not focused so much on me and my songs. It's more of a we approach, and like my dad said, these incredible instrumental melodies and harmonies. It really, you need the full 4-piece to call it Meadowbrook Circle, and they're brand new
I think
songs.
Meadowbrook Circle sounds like an indie twang band.
It sort of does, yeah. It's got a
cool.
very sort of folksy Americana vibe to it, whereas like Sullivan Squared, it's more indie rock.
It was on the
It's a
list.
little
We crossed it off.
alt-indie.
We crossed it off early,
I'm
but it was definitely on the list.
I'm not here to suggest that you guys didn't think of Sullivan Squared. I'm sure you went through every permutation you had. So we're going to have to cut this off, unfortunately, if we want to make room for your songs, and we do. We gotta move on here. But before we go, I know you guys, like we said, we referenced that you're putting out an album. I know you've just started recording it, but do you have any sort of gauge on when it might be ready, when it's released?
Yeah, I would say wintertime, is what we're going to look to. We're not in any rush, but we've got the next the summer months to record, and then we've got a buddy, one of our friends, family friends, to mix it. But we've got 4 songs ready to go. We want to release an EP. That's kind of what our next step is as a group, and to release that. So probably sometime in the winter. So.
All right, sounds great. Well, I want to thank you both for being here.
Awesome.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, man.
Thank you.
Thank you for being out there and doing it. It's a really cool project, and I'm happy to have you guys on. Would you please stick around and play a couple songs for us?
Absolutely.
All right. Sean Sullivan and Sean Sullivan, ladies and gentlemen.
On a modified wheel, keep it simple, please. Too much money spent now on pills. The doctor says you got a dose to feel. Time is a measure, but pain is fierce, and I'm just getting back my time. 31 days spent chained to a bed. Who do you call when you're left for dead? Mama picked up at 3 a.m. and brought me back home on time. On a modified wheel, keep it simple, please. You've been staying close to your pill routine, but the pills you got are for the wrong disease. Nobody knows what the hell's going on in each of our own damn minds. Medicine man become the ghost within, splitting time in the past and with present sin. Keep me along, for the path's growing long, and I'm starting to fall behind. On a modified wheel, keep it simple, please. Memories fade, but the ghosts remain in the town that you hold and where you were raised. Who do you know who's got the ghosts in tow and guarding them with their lives? Faces and names, they all fade to grays in the swirls of the colors that you try to paint. Put it all down to keep the blues and the sound in a spectrum of glory and light. On a modified wheel, keep it simple, please. Medicine man become the ghost within, splitting time in the past and with present sin. Keep me along, for the path's growing long, and I'm starting to fall behind. On a modified wheel, keep it simple, please. On a modified wheel, keep it simple, please. been a while since you dragged my car out the ditch. It's been a whole damn day since I got pissed. I look back and see the pain. That I caused in your poor brain. So please go easy on me, son. I have bled too much for you. Take a moment, seize this time. I'll be gone before you know. It's been a while since I called you in the night. Alarming chaos in my eyes. I was settled with your words. Got me through while you got burned. So please go easy on me, son. I have bled too much for you. Take a moment, seize this time. I'll be gone before you know. I am only human, but I can't stand to think of having my own son if I am who he'll be. If my son was to do half as much as me at my younger age, then I may need to think. So please go easy on me, son. I have bled too much for you. Take a moment, seize this time. I'll be gone before you know.
Well, thank you for tuning into the Guitar Department. I've been your host, Joe Alton. I want to thank Sean M. Sullivan and Sean T. Sullivan of Meadowbrook Circle for being here. Guys, thank you so much.
Absolutely.
Appreciate it.
We're all excited to hear the new album. Can you tell our audience where they can find out where you're playing, where to find the new album when it comes out, and how to keep up on any updates you guys might have?
Yeah, absolutely. If you want to go to meadowbrookcirclemusic.com, you can also find us across social media platforms at Meadowbrook Circle.
And of course, you can find us on Facebook at facebook.com/The Guitar Department or on Instagram at guitar_department. I want to thank Matthew, our camera operator, Jackson, our producer, and Riemann Music for offering up the sound system that we've used in this episode. And with that, would you guys play us out with one more song?
Absolutely.
All right, thank you very much.
Everybody thinks that I am being facetious when I say that I don't remember a damn thing from November. And all my memories from school, yeah, they faded. Synapses burned to the ground. The names of faces abound in my head, but I can't tell you anything about those names that haunt my brain, that belong to those faces in my head. But I won't take this to my grave. This old shame can burn away. I know your face, I don't know your name. Who am I really but a memory hoarder? I keep them snug in a bottle like fireflies, yeah, they model the neurons that fly aimlessly in my mind, connecting me with reality. The structures built abnormality in my head, but I can't tell you anything about those names that haunt my brain, that belong to those faces in my head. But I won't take this to my grave. This old shame can burn away. I know your face, but I don't know your name. Catastrophic feeling, I know who you are to me. But if you paid me $500,000, I could not complete the letters that define you, the same ones I cannot reach. If I was being honest, I could tell you did not think that it was merely possible that somehow this could be an empty letter box, another mild catastrophe. It was merely possible that somehow this could be an empty letter box.